Loads of people like packet effects, and I'm no exception to that. And I'd like to show you a quick one that's quick and simple. These cards are a bit sticky because they've been well travelled and well used. But look at this. 4 cards, that's all you need, just 4 cards. Now these 4 cards are all black. Well, they're not all blank. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. As you'll probably notice that 3 of them are blank. One of them has got my masterpiece on. I'm not the greatest of drawers. That is a tomato, or depending which country you're from, a tomato. It's not an apple as some people think. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a juggling act with this particular card. I'm going to put the tomato to one side, right over there. Now the other cards that I've got, I'm going to place down onto the table. In fact, I'll move them over, make it a little bit more difficult for me. You see, what I'm going to do is going to astound you. My mastery of juggling. And I'm going to do it invisible. Yes, I'm going to pick up this tomato, and I'm going to throw it. Did you see it go? Yes, of course you did. Humour me. You see, it really did go because it's gone from here. It's gone from here. And it's gone from here. It's nowhere to be seen. It's landed up over it. Whoops. Oh, I must have thrown it a little bit too hard. Got a bit squashed. Now that's a great little packet effect. It's literally less than a minute long. Some people love tricks like that. Now the trick itself is a basic trick, and you can change the kind of thing you do with the pictures, but let me show you what we've got. We have just 4 cards. Now one of the cards has the picture of the tomato on there. You could draw a beer bottle or something like that that gets smashed, but I've got a tomato, and you've got another card that's got a drawing of a squashed tomato. So we have 2 blanks and 2 picture cards. Now this is the way that they're actually set up. We have this goes to the bottom, then the squashed tomato, and then the 2 blanks on top. Now you can freely show the cards. There they are. You turn them over and you're going to perform an Elmsley count. 1, 2, 3, 4. I push this forward so it's easier to grab hold of. I've also got a finger break under this top blank card as I pull this out because it makes it easier for me to casually put it on top. And so I'm going to do a juggling act, and you'll see I just squared them up. There it is. I've got 2 cards as 1 here. I square them up. Let me just do that again. I square it up, and I'm just going to put it underneath and flip them over. Now they believe this to be the tomato, so when I put that down, it's actually the blank. Now the next card I'm going to lay down, I actually turn my hand casually. I don't make a big deal of this. I just turn it over casually and put this down. This is actually the genuine tomato, I say. And we're going to put the other cards, one here, and one here. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm actually putting this down, but I'm sure as a magician you'll work that out. The rest of it's just play acting. Pick this up, throw it across. Whoops, a little bit too far. Put it back. Let me try that again. Now when you turn this over, it is blank. Now remember, this has got the picture, the original picture on, so we've got to hide that. So this is a very clever switch. Apologies, I don't know who invented this switch, but it's been around for years. As you turn this over, you use it to scoop this one up, and you just put a little bit of pressure on there. It's going to go under, and you're going to switch the grip of your thumb. So I'm now switching this, and with my fingers underneath, I'm going to flip this card over. Now I'm actually flipping this one over again. Let me show you that again. As I pick this up, flip it over, turn it over, use it to scoop up. I switch and grip this and just flip over this. They believe this to be the card I just picked up there. So they've now seen 2 blanks. Now because I deliberately didn't draw the picture right to the edge, it gives me a little bit of leeway that when I turn this over, I can flash the edges quite freely. it looks all okay at this point. The next one is just the normal one, so we do with the same move, but we genuinely flip it over. Put this on front, and then just place them down. They've seen 3 blank cards, and then the knockout finish, you just turn this over, and the shock that the broken bottle or the squashed tomato is revealed. And it's just such a simple trick to put in your pocket, your wallet, and carry it around. And hopefully that was a pretty good trick for you to do. Now, that's the first trick of the evening. Hopefully that was something that you can give some ideas on and maybe incorporate your own ideas. What I'm hoping to do tonight is show you several tricks. They're not going to be highly polished. There's going to be mistakes in it, but I'm hoping it will give you an idea that you can probably take forward. Now, talking of that, I came up with an idea earlier today, just before we went on air. And it was watching a Harry Lorraine video recently. And the Harry Lorraine video that I watched included a trick where he got a spectator to grab a pile of cards, and he would pretend to feel the weight, and then he would grab cards, and when they were both counted, there was exactly the same number of cards in. Now, it's nothing spectacular, but it might be something that will give you an idea. As I said, I literally thought of this before we come on air, so I'm sure you can work on it and put your polished touch to it. But this is really what I kind of come up with. First of all, I wanted them to choose a couple of cards. So what I would do is just tell them to say stop, stop, and well, let me go through the routine. And you say to the spectator, here's a little trick that involves just a few cards and a thing called coincidence or luck or some other strange, meaningful thing. But when a magician's involved, you know it's going to be some form of skullduggery. But let's just go through. I'm going to dribble the card, just say stop, stop. Now, I'm going to turn this over and I want you to see that you've stopped at the King of Diamonds. It's an absolute free choice. Now, in fact, I'm going to do this again. Again, this is on the fly because I'm going to manipulate this a little bit more. Okay, just bear with me while I set this up. Okay, apologies for that. In fact, I should have done this because whenever I take a little break to fix a trick, you'll see this. So I'm actually preparing the next prop. I forgot to do that. Anyway, you introduce the cards. Here they are. You say to the spectator, regular deck of cards here. What I'm going to do is to just pull cards because I want you to choose a card. Just say stop, stop. Now you've stopped there. If we take a look at where you stopped at this one, the Ace of Clubs. Now this is the interesting thing. We're both going to choose cards, but you can choose mine for me. Now this Ace of Clubs, do you want that to be your card or my card? And you give the spectator an absolute free choice. Now let's say that they decide to keep that for themselves. And I'll just take the next card, which happens to be a 4 of clubs. Okay, so 2 cards chosen, the spectator and mine. You then put the cards down and you say, what I want you to do is to reach over and just grab about a quarter of the pack. Just grab about a quarter of the pack. And they grab a quarter of the pack. Now, what I'll do is I'll also grab about a quarter of the pack. Just so that we don't lose them, let's just mark our respective packs. Coincidence. Is there such a thing? Well, first of all, let's just take this packet that you chose. Now, you chose the Ace of Clubs. I want you to count how many cards you took from the pack. Now, they will then count the cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They chose 12 cards randomly. Okay, let's put those on there. Now I'm going to do the same. I took a random amount of cards, and what I want you to do, I'll put my card on there. I want you to count mine, because if I count them, you'll think that I'm cheating. So the spectator then counts my cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I picked exactly the same as you. I'll drop those on there. Now we could have chosen any cards. You chose from this blue pack the Ace of Clubs and the 4 of Clubs for me. I had no say in that. Out of all of these, you happened to choose the only 2 cards with red backs. If you have just joined us, welcome to totallymagic.co.uk. It's another one of our regular workshop broadcasts live. There's mistakes, there's gaps in it, there's hesitation, but it's all in fun. Hopefully this will become a regular meeting place for magicians. We'll try and do this every week or every other week, and you can join in on the chat room, put your suggestions in, and all things like that. So let's just see how this particular trick worked. As I did mention, this particular trick is a little bit crude in terms of not being highly polished, but hopefully you'll add your own bit to this. I literally thought of this evening before we come on air, and right at the last minute added a little extra to it as well. It's just what us magicians do. But hopefully you'll be able to expand on the idea and make it a lot better. As I said, I was watching a Harry Lorraine video the other day where he got a spectator to pick up some cards. He picked up some and they counted them. They were exactly the same. He done a sort of weighing it in his hand. And I wanted to achieve the same thing. So this is what I came up with. First of all, in a regular deck, this is a regular deck of cards. I added 2 cards from a red deck and I put those at the bottom. Now be careful not to flash those as you're going through. Now one of the things what may work better is not to show the backs. Yeah, you have to show backs, sorry, forget that. You take this and I need to force these 2 cards that have got the red backs. Now if you know a better way, and I'm sure you guys probably do, then use that method, but I in the routine just quickly use the Hindu shuffle where I'm just pulling cards from the top, and when they say stop you turn over and it looks as though that's where they've stopped. Here you turn it over and you say you've stopped at the Ace of Clubs. Now this is the deal. And this is where you really emphasize it. You give them a choice. Do you want to have that for yourself, or do you want to give that to me? It's their choice. Now they really, although it's not really anything to do with the routine, it really makes them believe that they could mess the whole thing up by giving it to me or taking it themselves. So they might say, you can have that. You deal that down. You say, okay, and you can have the next one. But as you can see, it is just a regular deck. You then put the cards down. Now these are going to be used as markers. You then ask the spectator to grab about a quarter of the deck. You don't want them taking too much. So they grab a small packet of cards. Now what you do as they grab that, you just make a mental note of how thick this is. Okay. It doesn't have to be exact. They put their cards down there. You straight away reach in and you try to grab roughly the same thickness. As I say, it doesn't have to be anywhere near exact. Okay, you just don't want to take a big chunk like that that's totally different to what they took. So you just kind of mimic and take a few cards and you put those down. You then place the marker cards on, say we'll just mark our respective packets. You take the cards, you pick up their packet and the marker card, square them up, and you're going to peel off the top card like this. Boom. Okay. And you put those down, you say, can you count your cards? Let's do that again. So it's just a straightforward square up and you say, I'll put your card on the pack. Can you count your cards? Now they will count their cards to whatever they've got, 12, 13, 14 cards. You will then take their cards and drop them on their marker card. But you're going to get a finger break, a little pinky break on there as you take the cards. Because what you're going to do is pick up your cards, square them up, and you're going to do a typical packet switch. Now, apologies for not remembering the name, but it's my age. And it's going to look as though you're going to do the same as you did before and slide this onto top of the pack. In fact, what you're going to do is to switch the packets. So you're going to dump not just this card, but the whole pack. And you're going to switch packets. Now, hopefully you can see that if I get a bit closer. So I've come over and I'm actually grabbing the whole pack as I squeeze on these. Okay, so let me just show you that again. If you get it down good, it just looks convincing. Look at that. Remember, as magicians, we're looking out for this. As a layperson, even if you made a bit of a mess of it, they wouldn't notice. They just assumed you slid this card on top of the pack. You then say, I'm going to give you the cards for you to count because you might think I cheat. They will then count the cards, and amazingly, I have the same number as they do. A coincidence, maybe? You square up the pack, you spread the cards to reveal the two marker cards. Now, of course, even if they're a different amount of cards here, people are not going to notice because it's a little bit haphazard. You just want to see the face-up cards. But what you do want to emphasize is the fact that they chose these cards out of an entire blue deck, and they're the only red cards. Now this really does add impact to it. I'm sure when you do this on the layperson, that will be a real kicker finish. So a couple of coincidences that happen in magic. Now you can get rid of these. You've got a regular deck. They can even examine everything because there's no fakes or anything in there, and it's a good little quick trick on there. So hopefully it's something you enjoy that you may want to use. Okay. Now, this is being broadcast live, and I know from previous live broadcasts we get most of our viewers later on in the week when they watch the recording. But anyone watching this video, unlike other YouTube videos where they've been edited and fancy things added, because we are recording this live, and I promise I'm not going to edit anything out, so apologies for the gaps, the mistakes and everything, but if you can let us know how things are, if you can hear the microphone properly, and you can see everything clearly, then that'd be great. I just want to show you this trick. Now, there is a commercial version of this that's been around for years, but this is one that I picked up, and it has little symbols of the ESPs on there, the extrasensory perception. And in fact, the late Paul Daniels did a version of this, which I think it was Larry Becker's Psycho 2. I could be wrong. But the principle behind this has been used in numerous tricks in cold reading and mind reading and things like that, with clipboards and paper, etc. Now, the idea of this trick is you've got some cards in an envelope. You open this one, you tip out, and as you're tipping these out, you stress the fact that it's opaque. You can't see through the envelopes. You tip another one out. Now look, you can't see a single thing through any of this. You finally tip out the last set of cards. Now all of these can be examined. Okay, and you can see you've got all of these various cards, which are just standard symbols for ESP. You ask a spectator to put these behind their back and cut the cards. In fact, we can cut the cards as much as you like. They will then take cards from the top and put them to the bottom. Simple as that. Now you can do it in front of you. It's not a big deal. You can turn your back if you like. And they do this, and then they stop and they take the top card and they're going to turn it over. Now, so that we can do the trick, I'm going to turn the pack over and put it in there like that. Okay. Now, there it is. The card is in there. You then ask them to put this into the envelope like that. Now you hold the envelope as they push the cards in. You fold the flap down, okay, and it's all opaque, and you can put it in the next one, and again close the flap, turn it around, make sure the spectator can see that it is opaque, you can't see anything in there, put it in here, and then you can use some sort of mystical power to go over and pick up the senses of what they chose. My fingers have been drawn to the star, and if we tip out the cards again, showing them to be opaque, and when you tip the cards out, there is the star chosen. Now, as I said, the principle behind this is used a lot in magic, and you can make this up. This one has been handmade, and the way you make this is you take some coloured paper. Now you can either buy envelopes of different colours, normally from office stationery shops, or even your hobby shops normally have those. Your craft and arts sort of shops have these sort of envelopes. If you can't buy the coloured envelopes, you can buy sheets of paper and just make up a little holder or something like that. Now the colours can be anything apart from one of them. This one here, I've got a yellow that matches the yellow on here. Now what that means is that if you take a look at all of these envelopes are not opaque. You can actually see through them. Even more so on this. Watch, I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up. If I put the black symbol into the envelope, now I don't know whether or not In fact, I don't know if you can just about see that on there. It's very faint on there, but there is the plus. I can see it very clearly in the daylight, but on the camera it can't seem to pick it up. But I can see quite clearly the plus on there. And in fact, all the symbols that are not yellow will show through the yellow paper. The only one that won't will be the yellow, because it matches the colour. It's kind of camouflaged. Okay, you can't see that no matter how you look. So this is how the trick works. First of all, as all magicians know, ESP cards are stacked in their regular ESP order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How do we know? There's number 1 because it's just one continuous line, circle. There's number 2 because it's got 2 lines. There's number 3 because it's got 3 lines. This has got 4 lines, and this has got 5 points to start. So that's quite a common stack system. And with this on the front, if I now push that in, I can hand this out to the audience when we start. They can go through all of these. They're opaque. You can't see through that at all. When the routine runs, you tip the cards out, and you can reverse their order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you've got 5 cards and their symbols used in Experiments of the Mind, ESP. The spectator then can cut them. It doesn't really matter if they cut them or put cards one from the top to the bottom. And when they're happy at stopping, they can choose one. Now you could even get them to put it in their pocket, okay, and return these ones back in here. Now when I put it back in here, I'm going to glance the bottom. Now unfortunately the camera's not going to pick this up, but I can see straight away that it's the wavy line on the front there. I don't know whether you can see that. There's the wavy line. I can see through that quite clearly. Now because of that, I'm not going to show the audience that face. They've already checked it beforehand that it was opaque, okay, when the cards were in there with the yellow in there. So I will just glance that and then push it into the second one. Now this time I can turn it around to show them because they can't see through it. And the third one, and then you do something maybe with a chain or a ball and hover over here to reveal that it's going to be the square. Now it's going to be the square, as you can see, because of the order that we put them in, 1, 2, 3, 4, that following the third will be the fourth, which will be this one. And that's it. It's as simple as that. When you tip these out, if you're doing the version that Paul Daniels did, then you can do that. But just let them examine that. It's all clean and it's a great little trick. But as I said, if you can't get yellow, you could only get a blue paper or blue envelope, then make sure that you have this one on the front, because if it's blue, it won't show blue. And you can do the same with the other ones as well. But that's a great little trick on there. Just one thing to point out, when you've got these in the order like that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you remove these, reverse their order first, okay, then you can cut them, okay, get the spectator to cut them, and then they can then do their usual thing. And whichever one they stop on, if I glance the bottom, it's a circle, so the next one will be 2, which will be the cross, and there it is there. So it's a great trick. Now of course the great thing about if it was the circle, when I put that in, you can't see it, so you could hand that out and people can examine that before you put it in there and go through the routine. There it is, lovely little routine there. As I said, I've seen this used in quite a few books from years gone by, where they had sheets of paper on a clipboard, and depending on what colour pen they wrote in, they could see through it or not. That's where I got the idea from, but later on saw Paul Daniels do the Larry Becker psycho trick, which I believe is on YouTube, and you can check it out on there. So there it is there. Okay, going through the tricks fairly quickly on this Saturday evening. If you have just joined us at this late stage, we are broadcasting live on a Saturday night. We started just after 10 o'clock, and if you're watching a recording of this later on, then we're not going to edit anything out. We've left all the mistakes in, gaps and mishaps, because it is live. Okay, so what else have we got? Right, another trick. Okay, 52 pieces of card, 52 choices you can make. What I'm going to do is to go through this. In fact, let me ask you a question. Would you like to see something impossible tonight, or maybe you would like to see a miracle? What would you like to see? And you ask the spectator this: do you want to see something that's impossible, or just a pure miracle? Now, let's say they said they would like to see a miracle. Most people would. You say, right, a deck of cards I'm going to go through, and I'm just going to flick, and you say stop, and I lift the cards up, and whichever card you see, picture that in your mind. Keep it in your mind. Okay, and I'll just put that back. That's all you're going to do. Out of all of these cards, that's what you're going to do. You're going to pick a card just at random. Here we go. I'm going to flick, just ask them to say stop, stop. I'm going to show you that's what you've got. In fact, I'll tell you what, let me take that off of there. You chose this card, nothing spectacular. You could have gone for a much prettier ace or something, but you've gone for this one, the 5 of clubs. Now, not a big deal, the 5 of clubs. Now, what I'm going to do is this. We're going to take, just bear with me 1 minute, just having a few technical issues here, but just bear with me. It's quite noisy here. The spectator has chosen any card. Now, the 5 of clubs is a free choice. Now, the spectator said they wanted to see a miracle. Now, this is where I introduce the Oxford Dictionary. Okay, the Oxford Dictionary. Why? And you'll see why in a moment. You see, if ever you look up the definition of a miracle, and if we go through here, and I'm going to find the word miracle. Miracle, marvelous event ascribed to supernatural, remarkable occurrence. Yes, I think that's what we've achieved here. Why do I say that? Because you chose from this deck a card. Look at the backs of all of these. But if we turn your card over, it is a miracle. Isn't that fantastic? A pure miracle. And they could have had any card on there. But hang on. Remember we said, would you like to see a miracle, or would you like to see something impossible? You see, I like impossibility. Let's look up the word impossible. So if we go through this and look up the word impossible. Now I'm going to try and hold this for the camera to see. Now can you see, it's probably not going to be in focus, but there is the word impossible. And next to it, I've written the 5 of clubs. Now that is not only a miracle, but absolutely impossible. Okay, there you have it. Going to take a short break. We'll be back in just one moment. We're back, broadcasting live from the UK, totallymagic.co.uk. We've done a few of these live broadcasts on a Saturday night and a Friday night. Hopefully you're getting some ideas. Remember, it's not a professional show. We're a meeting place for magicians where we swap ideas. Now, I apologise for the real amateur way I delivered this particular trick. Please put your own polish on it to make it so much better, because it really works well. First of all, the idea is you ask a spectator, do you want to see something impossible or a miracle? Now this is the deal. You need a dictionary. You might even be able to find a little pocket dictionary, which would be better. And in here, you look up the word impossible. And again, I apologize for the focus on the camera, but you probably can't see it. But where I found impossible, I've circled it and I've written the 5 of clubs next to it. Okay, so that's what you got there. You then take a 5 of clubs that matches that from another pack, and you write the word miracle on the back. Okay. Now the trick's where you just need a regular pack of cards, and you've got to have a way of forcing this card. I'm not a professional at forcing cards on here, but if I just do what I did in the routine, put it in the middle, so we have a pack of cards, you can show the cards, and I get a finger break just in front of that, do the usual flick, bam, there's the card, deliver it on there, because you don't want to see the backs because of the writing. So you can put this down here. I'm going to put the pack there. You then go on about that they asked to see a miracle. So let's do the outcome for what I did in the routine. The spectator asked for a miracle. So the miracle is this. When you've got this card, you can say you chose any card from this pack. And this 5 of clubs you chose is the only card that really does have a miracle on it. Now that fulfills their request. You can then elaborate and say, remember I wanted to show you something impossible. Well, and then that's when you can look up impossible. And then as a double whammy, it reveals that it's got the 5 of clubs on there. Okay, we'll be back with some more ideas in just one moment. Hi guys, back again. Many apologies. The problem you're doing live broadcasts, all technical things, the light goes out, the camera falls and everything else. Hopefully we're back. You're still sticking with me. So let me just recap on this to make it a little bit better, because I think I haven't done this justice. When you introduce this, you might want to introduce the dictionary at the start and maybe have a little paper tear in it, so that if they do decide to choose a miracle, you then look up the word, because it gives you a reason to have the dictionary in front of you. Otherwise they'll wonder what it's for, and you can look up the word miracle and read out what a miracle is. You then perform the trick, blah blah blah. You've chosen the 5 of clubs and there is your miracle. It's the only card that has the word on it. Now that in itself is a fantastic trick, but then you say, well, I tell you what, I wanted to show you something impossible. When you look up the word impossible, there is the name of their card right next to it. Okay. Now it works both ways, because say if the spectator didn't ask to see a miracle, they wanted to see something that was impossible. Let's look at that. So we go through the routine. They've chosen the cards. There you go. Now you wanted to see something impossible. I would then go straight to the dictionary, look up the word impossible, and then show them that I predicted that they would choose the 5 of clubs. So you could then spread the cards and say, out of all of these, you chose this freely, the 5 of clubs. Then you could say, as you want to see something impossible, there it is. But I wanted to show you a miracle. Look, all of these cards are plain. The one card you chose, the 5 of clubs, just happens to have a miracle on it. So this is one of those great outcome tricks where you give them 2 choices, and it doesn't matter which one they choose, they both work out. Okay, talking of these kind of tricks where you have several outcomes, so that's that one, impossible miracle. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Now, another trick that we're going to look at, if I can find it. Here, we do like close-up props here. And what I've got is this little bag, silk bag. And in there it's empty, are 3 wooden tablets. There they are, 3 wooden tablets, beautifully crafted. Okay, let me show you what's on them. Oh, by the way, it also comes with this. These are the instructions on here. In fact, it's not the instructions, it's my prediction, a premonition. Now, let's show you what's on these. We have symbols used in ESP. We have a star, square, and circle. Now, I'm going to turn these over and just kind of give them a little bit of a mix up on there. Okay, a little bit of a mix up. You then ask a spectator to pick up any one of the tablets. Now, it doesn't matter which one they pick up. If they pick up a tablet, you then ask them to put that one into the bag, and they drop this one into the bag. Okay, that goes in there, and you can pull up the drawstring on that. That leaves us with 2 others, and you ask the spectator, can you grab one of those tablets? Okay, and they grab one of those. That leaves me with this, and I'll take this. I then ask the spectator, because they might think I cheat, to unravel my prediction. So remember, we've got a tablet in the bag, they picked one, and I'm left with this one. They take off this and they open up the prediction. That's in the wrong language, unless you can decipher that. Bit of a gag. But on the back, if we turn it over, they will then read this out. So the spectator is going to read this out, and it says, I will be holding the star. Now let's have a look. They're holding the star. There it is. You will be holding the circle, which I am. And the square is in the bag. And if we open the bag, the one that the spectator put in there, it is the square. And this is a great little trick. It's been used in various ways with dominoes, wooden counters, money, and things like that. But it's just been adapted. Let me show you what we've got then. First of all, you need to pick up these. Now, these little tablets are from another trick, but you could use ESP cards, you could use number cards, it doesn't really matter. You could even use 3 objects, you know, a ring, a keychain, something like that. But I happen to have these lying around, some little wooden tablets. You then need a little bag or a box to hold one of these, and you need to print this out. Now, this is just a gag on there, but you just need this on there. And you need to put these words on there. I will be holding the star, you will be holding the circle, and the square is in the bag. Or if you've used different objects, reword it. But that's what you need to do on the prediction side. Now this is how it works. By the way, I had them face down. And the reason I had them face down doesn't really make any difference, because you can do this with them face up. It's not that type of trick that they don't need to see them. So it may even work better if they do see the faces. Yeah, but I've done the performance with it face down because I know that this is a square because of the little marking on there. This has got a mark in the corner which tells me it's a star. So I knew what was what. But you could do it face up. And if you had objects like chess pieces, key rings, then it would make a difference. So you have these, you tip them out of a bag or holder, and you say to the spectator, here's my prediction. Can you grab any one of these? Now, this is what they do. If they grab the square to start with, then you ask them to put that into the bag. Okay, and they put that in the bag. The other two, it doesn't matter which way round they go. So you ask the spectator to pick up one of these. Now, say if they picked up the circle, that leaves you with the star. Now, the prediction is the secret. It really is, because if this is the layout there that I've been given this one, then I will read out this prediction. So I will pick it up and read it out aloud, because it will say, I will be holding the star, which I am. You will be holding the circle, which they are, and the square is in the bag. Now, as in the routine when I done it before, these were the other way round. Now, because I knew that they had the star, I then got the spectator to read this out aloud, because it's then relevant. So it depends who reads out the prediction as to which way round these go. It's a great one to be in. Remember, it's always going to be magician's force to get this one in here. So if a spectator picked up one of these to begin with, you then ask them to pick up another one. Now, if they pick up this, then I will put this in the bag because it's the one that's left. Simple as that. If the spectator picks up this and then picks the square up, you then ask them, and can you give me one of those symbols you're holding? Now, if they give me the square, I'll then say, I will put this in the bag and you hang on to that. So whichever way, being magicians, you know about magician's force, so you will have your own method of handling this. But I love this because it's simple, but the effect on the layperson, I've performed this a few times now, and it's just great. One, what I've got here, the props are quite nice, but as I said, you could change these tablets to playing cards, to chess pieces, maybe a set of keys on there. But the secret is in who reads this out, either you or the spectator, depending on these two predictions here. Okay, and that's all that you need to do. If you have just joined us, it's a live broadcast, absolutely live. It's Saturday night. I can give you the time. Here in the UK, it's just after 11 o'clock on Saturday night. This is going to be seen. I'm just seeing Mystic Mark watching, thank you for joining us. And you're dead right, Paul Daniels did do that impossible miracle trick many years ago. um, I actually saw someone perform it at our local magic club, and he told me that Paul Daniels had done it. Searched it out and found it on YouTube and was quite impressed with it. So and he also gave me the secret to it. So hopefully, Mystic Mark, you can include that in yours. Sad about Paul Daniels. I always felt that Paul Daniels was underrated and underappreciated within the magic fraternity. I think a lot of people thought he was too old school, but for me, I thought he was an all-round entertainer. His magic skills were outstanding, especially his close-up. Although he was more renowned to be a stage magician, his close-up was great, but also his personality. And what I did like about Paul was that he could take a trick. And if you watch some of the videos on YouTube of his early Paul Daniels magic show, you'll notice that he did often use very simple tricks that you would find in a children's magic book. Certainly on a section of his magic show called the Mississippi Magic and Extrasensory Deception, some of the tricks were very basic tricks, but because of his patter and his performance, he made them look like an impossibility, a great magical feat. Sad to see Paul Daniels go. Anyway, let's now do another trick. What else can we do? Let's talk about some other tricks that we can do. I tell you what we'll do. Let's use something different. Okay, we're all used to seeing regular playing cards, but the audience do like a change. So I often try and find card tricks that can be converted to ESP or even tarot. And in here, I've got some special tarot cards. Okay. Now the cards are all different, as you can see, just various pictures that represent different meanings of life. Okay, and what I'm going to do is cut these a few times like this. Now, so you can see that the cards do look good, and I do believe that these were used in one of the James Bond films, this particular deck. So let's do a little bit of magic with this. First of all, you get a spectator to cut the cards. And this is going to be a kind of mind control illusion. You get a spectator to cut the cards and complete the cut. Now they can do this several times because you say, when you stop cutting, I'm going to use the top cards to deal out onto the table randomly. Okay, they can cut them as much as they like, it doesn't matter, but as long as when they're done that you got these random cards, no one could know what those cards are. Now we deal 1, 2, 3, 4 cards upon the table. Now, neither myself nor the spectator can possibly know, unless they got X-ray vision, know what these 4 events in life are of the tarot. We then get the spectator to cut the cards again. Okay, and they really can cut anywhere in the pack. Okay, just cut anywhere, just like that. So I've cut the cards anywhere. Because this time I'm going to deal 4 cards on here, but get the spectator to choose where to put them. Well, we're going to take it in turns. So they can go first or I can go first. So let's say the spectator has a choice. This card arrived at randomly. Where would you like me to pair it off to? Now they get a choice of any of these, and it really is a free choice. I know you see me putting it down because I don't have a spectator here, but let's say they put it here. Pair it up. Now I will then put mine, let's put it there. I'll put it there. They then choose either one. They can go there, and of course I've got no choice but to put mine there. I'm going to collect these up in pairs. Now if I deal the first card up, there is the star, is the first one. Now the second one is also a star. We paired up these two cards. Now I want you to watch closely as I deal. The next card is the devil, and upon that was dealt the devil. The third card here was the high priestess, and you dealt on top of that the high priestess. And the last one is judgment, was laid down first, and on top of that you placed judgment on there. And you'll see the first four cards dealt randomly from the pack cut by you have had the pairs matched up. Now is that mind control or the cards controlling your moves? And that's a great little trick on there. Let's just collect these up, okay, and just add those to the pack. Now another great little trick you can do with these is let's do a simpler one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 cards. And we're going to split these up into 2 even heaps. So we've got 2 even heaps. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards. 8 cards here and 8 there. Because we've got 16 cards. My maths is great. If we have a look, you can see that we've got a bit of a mixture of cards going on there, randomly cut and mixed up. Okay. I want you, the spectator, to choose any one of these, this one, and that will be the packet that we'll use to shuffle. Now, let's say they choose this one or this one, doesn't really matter. And you say you're going to do a deal or mix. If they ask to deal, you're going to deal a card down. If they say mix, you're going to reverse them. So, what do you want me to do? Deal or mix? They say deal. Deal, mix, deal, mix, and deal. There's no way I could have known what ones they would reverse. They could have reversed all of them if they wanted, but there we got this random thing there. Now, if we turn the cards over, they match. Now, what's impressing me is that the cards were in a totally random order when we started. You cut them, you mixed them. And despite your reversing certain cards and shuffling them, they all pair up beautifully. Now someone's just messaged to say the performance is kind of not very smooth. You have to apologize. This particular trick, or these tricks I'm showing you here, I haven't performed for, must be at least 9 months, 12 months. So while I'm presenting it, I'm just trying to remember the order of doing things. But we'll go over how they work in just a moment. The final trick out of these, and we can cut the cards, and the spectator can cut the cards as much as they like. And what I'm going to do is to deal the cards again into 2 separate piles. So we basically mix up the piles again. Tarot cards are great for the audience. gets them away from the regular playing cards. So there we've got 2 packets of cards. Now, the cards themselves, as you can see, are just regular picture cards on there. A little experiment with the cards. The spectator can choose either packet to select 3 cards from. Either packet. You could even get 3 spectators joining. Now they can choose this one or this one. It doesn't really matter which one they go for. Now let's just say that they go for, let's say this one. But they could have gone for this one. It's not a magician's force. You go through the cards and they say stop at a particular card. You deal that card out on there. Okay, in this case, the High Priestess. And what you're going to do is you're going to get them to return the card face up into the pack. You then deal cards again. They say stop. And again, you'll turn this over so they can have a look at that and see that it's the moon. And that goes back in on there. You go through, they take another one. And this is why you can use more than 1 or 2 spectators. Great to get a whole crowd involved. Now you note that the cards are going back in the pack where they was taken from. You square the whole thing up. Now, the moment of truth. As we go through the cards, you can see there's no match on there. Okay, as we go through. We then get to the High Priestess, and you'll see that the card in exactly the same position as this one is the High Priestess, a perfect match. All the others are all indifferent. As we go through, again, you can see they're different cards on here. As we go through, all different cards, until we get to their second choice that they took out, the Moon. The card in exactly the same position happens to be the Moon. We go through the remaining cards. You can see every one of them is different. They've been shuffled and mixed. We get to the third and final choice, the Tower, and it is the Tower in exactly the same place. All the other cards are different. Now, it's almost an impossibility. It's a great effect. So there we've got 3 quick tricks using tarot. Now I did one after the other. It's probably a little bit overload. You probably just want to pick out your best one that you want to use. So how does it work? Well, let's first of all start with this one. How did this work? Now I'm just going to go through the cards, and there's a reason for that. Is because, let's just put these cards back in. This is how the trick works. All of these cards match these cards. They're exactly the same sequence. High Priestess, the Moon, Tower, Hermit, Strength, etc. They're card for card in exactly the same order. Now you can cut the cards or deal them down, but you're going to deal them into 2 piles so that they match. You can then say, we're going to take some cards from one pack. Now what you're doing on one of the packs, it doesn't matter which one, okay? You're going to take 2 cards and put them to the bottom. Now what that tells you, on this pack, if they choose a card from here, you always return it 2 cards further down. Okay, it's simple as that. I've literally moved 2 cards from the top of this pack and put it to the bottom. Any card that they choose from this pack will always be returned 2 cards further down. If they choose this pack, then the card will always be moved 2 cards up. Okay. So let me show you what I mean. I'll just do it on one. If I go through the cards, a spectator chooses this card. I then push across 2 more and manipulate. Now, of course, the spectator will be busy looking at this. They wouldn't see you secretly push 2 cards across. I know the video is focused on my hands, so there's no misdirection at all. You've only got one place to look, which is what I'm doing. So don't worry about that. You're just pressing 2 cards. This goes back face up. Now, just to prove that this works, if I deal down 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th card here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is the same one, Judgment, as that one. Okay, let's just put this back. So what happens if you've put 2 cards to the bottom on this packet, but the spectator chooses this one? If you want to, you can pick up these. Now what happens is you will put 2 cards back. So say if I go through and they say stop and they take this card, what you would do is put 2 cards back. So when the card goes back now, it's gone back 2 cards further up. And let me just show you what happens there. The Fool is the 4th card down. If I go 1, 2, 3, 4, it's the Fool on there. Such an old trick, but works very, very well indeed. Now, how did the other routines work? Well, all the cards were in pairs to begin with. So let me just get these back into some sort of order. All the pack is in pairs. So if you watch the routines back, the first 2 were in pairs. So let me just pair up all of these cards. If you have just joined us, it's totallymagic.co.uk, broadcasting live, just doing various tricks for magicians to make note of, improve. There's nothing special on here, no polished performance. We're leaving all mistakes because we're live. It's now 25 minutes past the hour of 11 o'clock here in the UK. Hopefully, if you're watching this as a magician, 1 or 2 things I do, you might be able to improve on and maybe incorporate. Some of the stuff will be of no relevance to you, but some of it may. So all of the cards are in pairs. You can bring out the pack, show the spectator, don't show them card after card because they'll notice they're in pairs. Just take clumps of them, say, look, we've got Judgment, Wheel of Fortune, but they're in a random order. That's the impression you give. You can cut the cards, and the spectator can cut the cards. In fact, the first routine we did was cutting the cards. Now, when you do that, you need to get a glimpse at the bottom and spread the cards. As you say, I'm going to deal some cards in a moment. What I'm doing is looking here. If I only see 1 card here, Strength, then I know the other one is on the top. So I need to put that onto the bottom because I do need the cards to remain in pairs. I will then just use the top card to say I'm going to deal out 4 cards randomly here. I then put this to the bottom and I say you cut here randomly. I've got no idea what the next 4 cards are going to be, and you deal the cards down. Now, the spectator believes we've got 4 random cards, different cards here. The reality is we haven't. We've got a pair of cards here and a pair of cards here that are the same. You can carry on dealing from here to say, where would you want to put this? The next card in the pack, what draws you to this? Now, the spectator can choose any one of these cards to drop it on. Let's drop it on there. Now, what I will do is I will take a turn and say, well, you've dropped yours there. I'm going to drop mine there. What I'm doing is I'm putting it next to the pair. I know that these two cards are a pair. I want these two cards to be together as well. So when he puts it there, I'm not going to put it here or here. I'm going to put it on top here. When the spectator chooses either one of these and they can put it on any one, I will then put mine on there. Watch the routine, it's pretty straightforward. I can then gather up the cards. Now, remember, as far as the audience are concerned, we laid out 4 random cards. We then had another 4 random cards that we could put anywhere on here. When we collect these up, now this is a good thing. You're going to do a second deal, but not for all of them. This is the deal. The first card you can turn straight over. The next one, you will do a second deal. Now, the great thing about these cards, they've got no white border. Now, I'm going to do it in slow motion. And again, we got no misdirection. People aren't looking here because you guys have got the camera. It's focused directly on there. So it stands out a mile, the second deal. But if you're not too good at doing the second deal, remember the audience are in front of you over here, looking this way. You can just tilt your hand as you deal. Okay, that's what you're going to do. And you just need to pull this down just a little bit so you can grab the second card. Now, let me show you in slow motion what that looks like. Just there and there. I know it's unconvincing on camera, but anyone that does the second deal will know that you can get away with a bad move when you second deal. Now, the beauty of this, that pairs up. It looks as though I placed Justice onto Justice. Now the next 2 cards are already paired, so you can say, watch closely. You don't need to do a second deal. You can deal this up, and then the next card is dealt as normal. The third pair, you're going to do the second deal again. So the first card goes down as per normal. You then do the second deal again. The last 2, you don't need to do anything funny because they are paired up automatically. It's a great simple 2-minute trick of pairing up the cards. The other routine I did was even easier. You don't need all the pack, but they're in pairs. You deal the cards out in pairs. So we'll say we deal out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 will do. You can deal the whole pack if you want. And then you're just going to separate them. One, to separate the packs. Now what I'm doing is splitting the pairs up. These 2 packs are in order, card for card. As you can see, they match. So what I need to do is to reverse one of them. We do that by saying, let me just check. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we got 8 there. I've reversed those. So when you turn these over, they're different. They look in a different order. So it looks as though you've got a total jumbled stack of cards. Now this trick I'm about to show you is such an old commercial trick. You can pick this up in toy shops and in the beginner's magic sets. Nothing special about it. They choose either pile and you're going to pretend that they mix up the cards by dealing or mixing or reversing, and you do this move here. Deal, mix, mix. It really is a convincing one on there. Of course, when you do this, deal, deal, mix, deal, mix, deal, all you're doing is reversing the order of the entire cards. Let me show you that this time again. Doing a mix has absolutely no effect on the order of the cards at all. Watch. If I deal this card down, this one is going to go next. But if they choose mix, it looks as though you've reversed them, but I haven't. I'm literally just dealing them down as normal. So it doesn't matter. Now when you turn them over, they all pair up beautifully on there. Okay, so a very simplistic trick there. So just a little alternative, 3 routines, pick out your best one using something different to regular cards on there, the tarot cards on that. We are live, messing around. Want to do a couple of more tricks, just bear with me. We're going to take a 1-minute break, go and stretch your legs, and then we'll come back with a couple of more tricks to finish off this evening. We're back, and a couple of more tricks before we finish this evening's broadcast. Whether or not you're watching it live or a recording of this, hopefully there's been something that's stirred a little idea in you. As I said, none of the performances are polished, and as you can tell, a lot of it hasn't even been rehearsed. We're just doing it on the fly, just as you would when you're in a bar with your friends, fellow magicians, just having a drink and just card mucking on the table, coming up with different ideas for new tricks. So this one uses 2 packs of cards, blue cards and red cards. Now you ask a spectator which pack to choose, and they get a free choice. Which pack would you like to choose? Now let's say the red. Now you push the red cards towards them and say, can you hold on to those for a moment, because we're going to do a little experiment here with thought transference, and we're going to use this packet of cards here, which is just a regular blue deck. They're both the same, as you'll see in a moment. So you ask the spectator to cut the cards roughly about halfway. Okay, they can cut the cards anywhere they like. That's just finding a card. Now this is the real deal. Okay, I'm going to mark the pack where they cut because we introduced one of these, a magician's favorite friend, the permanent marker, the one tool that destroys a whole deck of cards. But we're going to use one of these because the spectator had a free cut. Now this is where this is different to other tricks, because if we turn that over, they've cut to this one, the 2 of diamonds. Now I'm going to give you a choice. Would you like to choose this card or the one that you haven't seen yet? You get a choice, either the card you can see or the one you haven't seen. Now let's say that they choose the 2. It doesn't matter, they really do get a choice. Okay, so let's say that they want to choose the 2 of diamonds, but they could have chosen this one, which happens to be another regular card, but they've chosen this one here, the 2 of diamonds. Now what we're going to do is to get them to ruin this by putting a mark on the back of this. Okay, so we're going to mark it. I'll actually mark it. I'm going to draw a cross on the back of the 2. Now that is what you call a marked card. Now the trouble is, this takes a while to dry. We just dry that, okay? But we've marked the card. But the thing to remember and to keep pointing out to the audience is that they had a choice of either the 2 or another card. They could have chosen the other one, okay? It wouldn't have made any difference. But what we're going to do is we're going to take the marked 2, okay, and we're going to bring the pack that they chose in here, okay, and it is just a regular deck. We'll turn it face up. I'm going to take your 2 and drop it on top of the pack. You see, we're going to do a flick of transference of that cross on the back of that 2 is going to locate the exact replica in your chosen pack. Watch. It's the flick that does the trick. But what happens is that cross drops off of your 2 and hits its duplicate in the pack. Now at this point they think you've gone mad, but look, this is the kicker. There's their freely chosen card. The cross that was just there has gone. It's no longer on there. If we go through the pack, I'm going to do this at fingertips because I want to show you each and every card face. Okay, every single card face is there, and there the cross has landed. There's no other crosses on any cards whatsoever. And if you remember, the other card you could have had was a 4. There's a 4 here, and that hasn't got anything on it. It's only this one that has the cross on it, and that's called drop. So it's a trick that has been around for a few years now, and the idea is how could you get someone to mark a card and the marking disappears and appears on another replica card. And the way this works is quite simple. First of all, in this pack there's 2 fake cards. These are the 2 cards that are going to be forced onto the spectator, the 2 of diamonds and the 4 of spades. On the front of the 2 is a cross. On the back of the 4 is a cross. Okay, it's as simple as that. That's the setup. You put these together and put that into the center of the pack. Now, the other pack, you're probably ahead of me. This one is a double backed card, and it's this one that you can manipulate. And it's great because you can buy a pack of double backed cards, which you set you back a couple of pounds. You can do 52 performances and not ruin a good deck of cards. Now, how do we force this? Well, this is slightly different because what I did was I put the double backer on top, followed by the 4 of spades. On the bottom, I put the 2 of diamonds. So the 2 false cards are at the top and the bottom. Now, I'm sure that all magicians that know of the cross-cut force, such a simplistic one, it's amazing that it still works even today. An audience member cuts the cards anywhere. You then complete the cut by putting it crosswise like that. Now, this is what changes when you lift this up and makes this a little bit more special, is because you say, here's the card, the 2 of diamonds, and you give the audience member the choice. Do they want this one or the one they haven't seen? Well, let's say they go for this one. On the performance, they went for this one, but say they went for this one, the 4 of spades, but you give them the choice. It was a free choice. Okay. You're then going to grab these and put these on top because it's got the double backer on here. You're then just going to do a double lift. You're going to drop this on and do a double lift, and then you draw a cross on there. Now draw a cross that's roughly the same as the ones you drew on the cards in here. Once that's dry, you can do your double lift again and deal that off. Now, because you've turned over, they don't see anything untoward here. You then take the cross. Now, because it's the 4, I want it on the back. If it was on the 2, I'd turn them face up and get the cross to drop to the face, but drop on the back. You drop this on, you smack the card as a bit of an excitement, bang, it stops. The cross has dropped from here. Now that's one wow factor because they have seen the cross has gone and you can say it's not there. If we go through the cards one by one, not a single card has anything on it except one card. I go through the rest of the cards, there's no other cards with crosses. This is a great effect straight away. As soon as you pull that out, just one card out of everything on here, and it happens to be the 4. And that's called drop. And to finish off on here, let's do a quickie. Thank you for joining us tonight for this live broadcast. We'll be having regular ones of these, but they are recorded for uploading, so you can watch it at a later date if you missed anything. But at the moment we're broadcasting live, and I promise we're not going to edit anything, so unfortunately you get all the gaps and the amateur performances and mistakes all in there as well. Got some number cards. I know magicians always use different cards. These ones are just random numbers, and let's just give them a quick mix up on here. Okay, now if we go through these cards here, if we take a couple of cards and add them together, the 12 and the 4 is what? 16. Okay, 22 and a 23, what's that? That's 45. 20. So you can see pairs of cards all add up to different numbers. Okay, so what we're going to do is to first of all deal the cards down, and we're going to separate them into two even piles. Well, I believe they'll be even, but we'll deal them out on here. Going to take two cards, and just when you get the urge, just tell me to stop on here. Stop. Now, say if the spectator stop me here, you put those to one side. Okay. Now, of course, we've already seen that all of the number cards here and the number cards here, that if we took these two, 17 and 6 is 23, 31, 32, 33, sorry, and so on. You can see we've got different numbers coming up. Forgot to mention, I've got a prediction here. I should have put this in place at the start, but it is live and I forgot. There's my prediction. Let's take the two cards that you chose. You chose a 3, a low number, and a 23. So that comes to 26. But remember, we already shown you that you could have added up any cards. My prediction card is 26. Just a quickie thrown in to finish off tonight. But as you can see, another alternative. The trick is quite simple. You get out all the number cards from here and you put them in pairs that add up to your prediction, 26. So I've got 21 and a 5 is 26, a 12 and a 14 is 26, 22 and 4, 26, 26, and so on and so forth. So they're in pairs, and you do that for the entire pack. You can cut the cards, doesn't mess up the order, just cut the cards as many times as you like. All you've got to do is to have a quick flash of the cards to show the randomness of those, and you make sure that the first two cards add up to 26. If they do, you're good to go. You can then deal the cards into two piles, and it doesn't matter which ones they stop on because every pair will add up to 26. So if they take that, now what I do is I take this card from the top here, if you watch a routine back, and I flipped it over and flipped this over and said, look, if you had gone for 12 and 4, it would have been 16. 22 and 14 is 36. My prediction is 26. What did your two cards add up to? 26. Very simple. Hopefully you have fun with that. We'll have some more live broadcasts here at totallymagic.co.uk in the future. Hopefully you'll pick some good things out of this, improve them, polish them up, and maybe make a decent performance out of it. Not what you've seen tonight. Mine were just very rough ideas of things you can do, but hopefully you've enjoyed that. Until a couple of weeks time when we're back, hope you enjoyed it. From me, have yourselves a great weekend.